Welcome to the very first episode of Oklahoma Sports Podcast with O'Grady and O'Grady. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the TCU recap. We'll get through it, though. We'll get through it. Go with a game breakdown, give you a little stat drop, and then I'll have a few questions for my associate, and we'll go with a little Red River preview. Tate, how are you doing tonight?
After that TCU game, it's hard to get through the days, when people know you're a Sooner fan in the state of Texas. It's not good, man. I'll tell you that much.
I understand. See, I don't have the problem of living in Texas, but I got all these guys on this freaking baseball team. Look, outside of the state of Oklahoma, we don't understand. Oklahoma is not highly favored in a lot of people's eyes. So I'm out here in the trenches defending our boys every day, and they don't make it easy when they lay two stinkers.
Have not made it easy the past 2 weeks.
All right, Tate. So let's tell the people who we are and what we're about and why we're doing this.
Well, I'm Tate O'Grady, and that's my cousin Colin O'Grady. We're just two super fans of the Oklahoma Sooners. All sports, doesn't really matter, right?
That's right.
We're big time OKC Thunder fans as well. So we were just born and raised Sooner fans in the state of Texas, which I feel like breeds a different type of Sooner fan because you got to be able to defend the turf.
Yep.
We listen to all the podcasts out there, and we started talking that, hey, there's a bunch of experts out there, the former players and guys that know the X's and O's, but that there wasn't really just too many podcasts out there, by just the casual fan, just talking about what we're seeing as a fan and not an expert that can dive into all the X's and O's. So we thought we'd do something that we love and enjoy, and that's talking Sooner football or Oklahoma sports in general.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it any better myself. And we're just our expectations for this thing, we have no expectations. We might get 0 views on these videos, but we're going to keep doing it until it stops being fun for us.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think we definitely need to go into the mentality of, hey, it's just something we really enjoy doing.
That's right.
Take it by that perspective and stuff like that, that people might appreciate what we have to say.
Exactly. You just got to keep the main thing, have fun with it.
That's right.
So, and if you do watch, it's going to be rough at the start. It's like season 1 of The Office. A little rough, but stick with us. It'll be okay.
That might be the most perfect analogy that you could have said.
Yeah.
Because I talked to people about The Office being my favorite TV show, and so many people are like, I couldn't get through the first season. And I'm like, brother, you were missing out on
Look, don't let that don't use that excuse with us, please. Just stick it out. It'll be all right. All right, Tate. So let's get into this TCU recap. All right. So let's hear some thoughts from the casual fan.
The casual fan. Listen.
Here, for people that don't know this too, about how diehard we are. So I played college baseball, and I had a scrimmage on Saturday. I recorded the game, saw the final score, went back and watched so we could make this podcast. Tate was out on the golf course because it was so bad, but came back and watched the recording. So keep that in your mind when you're thinking about this. Go ahead, Tate.
It was rough. Here's the thing. It's hard. That game's extremely hard to break down because how many injuries did the Sooners suffer on Saturday?
Yeah.
Not just like little starters. We're talking.
It was huge getting Wanye back.
QB1.
Yeah, which out. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So,
correct. But QB1 out. The guy who I think is the leader on defense, which is number 5, Billy Bowman, out on first kick return. So we saw the lack of fundamentals, lack of leadership in the secondary all game long. Just a super scary injury with 17 Harmon. Super scary. Never want to see that. So, it's one of those things that, you have to remember that these players are human, and obviously we want them to be, okay and everything be all right with them. But at the end of the day, we got to call it like it is. And even before QB1 went out, and even before 17 went out, and even before our O linemen are going out, the game was out of hand.
Oh my goodness.
Game was out of hand from the start.
Yeah. And you hate to see, like, well, you watch these players week in and week out, and you get invested in them, and so you hate to see them go down. And not just from like a standpoint of, oh my goodness, there's production going out, but it's like Dylan Gabriel's, that hit was nasty. Like, I think that knocked him out cold, and that's tough to watch. So obviously we hope these guys are okay and they can make a quick recovery. But like, you do think about the production, and production is going to be in question next week against Texas. But you're right, that game was absolutely out of hand even before those injuries came up.
I got a quick question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Why are we starting out so slow?
You know
what I mean? So we go from Kent State, which that's the game that I attended,
and it was not a fast start either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So Kent State, we don't score until a minute left in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then we go to Nebraska, start out slow, right? Go 7-0, or we go punt, or 3-and-out, 7-0, punt, and then our defense finally picks it up, but start it in the 7-0 hole.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Go to K-State.
Start
them
out 14 points.
14-0. Spot those dudes 14. Like, what do you think? Why are these guys not coming out with us against the world mentality? Like, why is it week in and week out spotting guys touchdown 14, 2 touchdown leads?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have the answers for you. Like, obviously I'm not in the locker room with those guys, but from what I'm seeing is when we do get down, so we can climb out of a hole against a Kent State or even a Nebraska. I know they're Power 5, but let's be real, everybody. Nebraska's not a good team. But then you get up against a K-State or a TCU, and a TCU at their place, and you spot them points, and it's over. But what scares me is that, BV comes in, and we see all these things in the offseason about, earned, not given, like Team 128, this is your chance to do blah, 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 whatever. And we're like, we're getting back to these Oklahoma roots, blue collar. But then I see these guys fall back into this Lincoln Riley, Tebow. We're not gonna say his name on
we
here.
Don't say that name on here, Colin.
So we get back into that sense of entitlement and to me, they look like front runners. When everything's good, everything's great. But when it's bad, my word, is it bad, dude. And I don't know if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, but that's just what I'm seeing is lack of edge. I mean, they haven't been making things happen. If things go in their way, it's good. But if things aren't going their way, they're having a real hard time making stuff happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think going back to what you said about this offseason, obviously when Tebow leaves like a thief in the night, with everything going on, right? When was the last time that we saw Sooner Nation gather around this program like it did in those times, right? And when BV gets his name called, Sooner Nation is there at the airport, right? We're surrounding this team. We're hearing the hype. We're hearing the buy-in. We're hearing the difference of mentality, right? People talking, this is going to be the best defense since 2010, all this stuff, and hey, sucker, I was bought in to, what I mean? Everything that we wanted to hear. I was like, defense? What's that? We don't know. Exactly. We don't know what that is. And I would love to be a part of a team that has defense. We heard about Dylan Gabriel and how he's been under Jeff Levy his whole entire career, and he's seen so much success, and he knows the offense like crazy, and he's going to put the ball on the right, stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. Like, I'm just not seeing any of the hype that that we were fed all off season long. And that was part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast, was because like I don't want to be pumped full of smoke.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be pumped full of smoke. I hate the sunshine pumpers. I hate the narrative that everything's going to be all right and that, we're still figuring this out. Because here's something about Saturday's game, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
The excuse is, hey, it's BV's first year, and we got a brand new offensive coordinator, and we've got a brand new defensive coordinator, and BV's defensive scheme is just crazy, and it's going to take a while to learn.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What's that?
Team that just put a freaking stomping on us.
Same situation.
Same exact situation. So you're telling me that a TCU don't get me wrong, give credit where credit's due, right? They absolutely put the whooping on us.
Oh, yeah.
But Oklahoma University, when you're rocking that crimson and cream, you have more talent than a TCU.
I totally agree.
Bottom line, you have more talent than a TCU, and they're in the exact same situation as we are, yet we get boat raced. And so I'm like, I'm on OU websites, right? I'm not going to exactly like call which one out, but it's just like sunshine pumping after sunshine pumping. And I'm listening to all these podcasts. And there's just a bunch of kind of, well, if you're really looking at it, I mean, it just seems like no one wants to call a spade a spade.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, I think one problem we get into is we've been walking around with our crimson colored glasses on, and like I live with those things on, so I'm always gonna try and look at the positive of this. But you cannot lose your home opener. Big 12 home opener to Kansas State. Not with the crowd. I was there. It was insane, Tate. The crowd was insane. You got a lot of momentum. You just come off the Nebraska week. Everyone's excited, and then that happens. And it's okay. That's not ideal, but let's come out and let's respond. Whatever. Get right game, TCU, and we get absolutely skull drugged by TCU in Cowtown, Tate. Bad. That cannot happen. So you got to take the crimson colored glasses off and acknowledge. You can still, just because you acknowledge things aren't good doesn't make you not a fan. Right. And I'm not saying we need to burn the whole thing down. Like, I still think BV was a great hire, and I think that the recruiting class we have coming in is crazy. And I still think we got great talent on the team right now. Like, I think we have a good team that we could be set up for success, but you can't act like there's nothing wrong, because clearly there's some things going on.
100%. And I mean, and that's my whole purpose and desire to want to call it like it is. I just feel like, so when's the last time that Sooner Nation's had to go through a season like this?
Like,
right? I was asking
99
one of my friends who's older than we are, and been watching Sooner football for a really long time. And I said, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you've seen a OU football team like this? And he said, let me see, because I want to make sure I get this right. Let's see. 1997, Colin. He said, I was a junior in college, 1997.
Yeah.
That someone that, like, just like us, is a super fan of the Oklahoma Sooners, never wishes anything bad upon them, just telling it like it is, 1997. And whether he's right or wrong, it's an opinion, but to him, he hasn't seen a team look as bad as it's looked the past 2 weeks since 1997.
Yeah. And those were some dark times. Clear. I mean, obviously, like, I wasn't born, but
go ahead and tell the viewers how old you were in 1997.
I was about -4 years old.
-4 years old. So literally, your spoiled Sooner fan self has never seen an OU football team like this.
And I don't plan on it either.
Why don't you tell us how you're feeling after seeing an OU team not be what we've come to know as just Sooner football?
Well, I'm not going to say they were dark times during the Landry Jones era, but there was a couple of seasons where it wasn't it was very mediocre for OU standards, but as far as like the whole country, it was above average. But right now, I do not feel so. I haven't written them off, but I don't feel super great. Okay, listen to this, Tate. We play Texas, and then our homecoming game is against Kansas, right? Tate, there's a very good chance that these boys from Lawrence come in here and give us the business the way it's been looking. They almost did last year, but see, we didn't think these were Tebow Sooners this year. I've been telling people that too, but some of those effects are still there of, like I said before, a little bit of front running, a little bit of entitlement, but it takes time. You can't like Bob Stoops' culture didn't evaporate overnight, and BV's not gonna be able to build his culture overnight. But they still do need. There's not an excuse for last Saturday. That was bad.
Well, let's let the people know. If you want to know the difference between Colin and I, Colin is a fence rider through and through. If you try and tell Colin to make a decision, he'll find some way to straddle the fence. And if you need to know anything about me, is that I will take bold take after bold take. And
I love harmony, and I like people liking me.
I like to see the world burn, and I will set the fence on fire in order to make my point, because I can't stand the excuse of that it's going to take time.
Yep. You know what?
Because if you got a bunch of dogs in that locker room,
like they said they had,
you find a way to get the job done.
No, I agree.
And when you get your teeth kicked in against a K-State because they were the more physical, dominant team, correct?
Correct.
And then the following week you hear practice is going good, dudes are bought in, we weren't as good, we're practicing the details, blah, blah, blah. And then that's what you come out with on Saturday. Like the whole, again, I bring up TCU's in the exact same situation as us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
as good of athletes as us.
Not as good of athletes as Oklahoma has. And so I'm like, nah, screw that. It's going to take time. And if you want to call me fake fan, if you want to call me overreacting, whatever, I'm just calling a spade a spade. Mm-hmm. If you got true dogs in there, they're gonna make a difference. And right now I feel like you're saying, that Tebow mentality. And I don't even know, dude. Like, I'm starting to look at it and I'm like, is it 100% to blame on that dude? Like, I think that some of it goes back to how they, because we talk about 23 and we talk about
2 and
we talk about 25 dudes that have been in the program for a long time, right? They were there the entire Tebow tenure.
And probably leaders on this defense too. If we're gonna be honest.
So it's just one of those things that, like, to quote, remember the Titans, action reflect leadership, captain, right?
That's right.
Those are the captains on our defense. The actions of the other guys going on is literally reflecting what those dudes are saying and doing.
Yeah. Most definitely.
It's going to take time bullcrap, because I just want dudes to go out there and play with a dog mentality of us against the world. And I haven't seen it.
Yeah. We've seen it in spurts, but we haven't been able to put it together. So here we're running into a bit of an issue, and we don't have Zoom Pro. So we have less than a minute on this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop this, and then we're going to keep recording. And Colin's going to work some editing skills, and we're going to splice these two bad boys together. So
no, I was literally watching that and I was like,
all right, Tater. So we covered the TCU game, and
barely. I'm fine with stopping there, because I could literally go on for.
All right. Well, first, before we stop, let me read you some stats. And I posted these on Twitter. Go ahead and go follow Twitter. We post some great stuff at O'Grady Sports. We'll have I'm gonna work my magic and get our Twitter handle up there.
Yeah, I'm
So,
excited to see your magic editing.
I'm
I'm pretty excited about that.
self-taught, so what you see is what you get, and it's gonna
Once
be.
again, stick with us on this, folks.
Yes, please. Okay. So here's your Sunday stat drop for Monday, and people are gonna see this Tuesday. So try to keep up, people. All right. So on Saturday, total yards, TCU 668, OU 355. All right. It gets worse. Yards per carry, TCU 8.8, OU 3.7. 3.7 yards, Tate. Okay. TCU is averaging almost a first down a carry. All right. Yards per pass, TCU 9 yards per pass, OU 5.5. TCU also had 4 tutties of 60 plus yards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing: the yards per carry and the
That
yards per pass attempt, they don't help whenever you have 4 plays that were over 60 plus yards.
Yeah, that's true. That definitely inflates the stats.
You know what else though, Colin? Is TCU called the dogs off. They
Yeah.
very easily, and when's the last time that you said that a team called the dogs off on OU?
Maybe Clemson in
They
the
could have
Russell
had
Athletic Bowl.
Clemson in the Russell Athletic Bowl. That's nice pull there. That is
LSU in the Sugar
exactly the
Bowl,
last
probably.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, those dudes could have put up 800 total yards and 70 points on us. Easy.
There was nobody stopping Max Duggan. Also, I'm going to throw this
Easy.
out there. 2 weeks in a row, an opposing quarterback has won Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week against OU.
Hey,
So,
me and you often say this in our text thread. It's if you want to win the Heisman, figure out how to play OU every single game.
yeah. Yeah. And Tate, I know we've been talking about TCU. Let's talk about K-State. Adrian Martinez, Tate. Okay. This guy, I don't like to call people names, but he's a bit of a loser the past 3 years at Nebraska. Okay. And I'm not saying as a person or anything like that. He loses football games, Tate. They went 3-9. They were the best 3-9 team ever. How many turnovers did that guy make in crucial points or just dumb mistakes? And then he comes out against OU, has 5 total touchdowns, no turnovers, looks like an absolute stud. That's that Adrian Martinez.
The week after he loses to Tulane 10-7.
Uh-huh. So
yeah,
I don't know really.
Looking at you, defense.
That. Yeah.
Looking at
literally.
you, D.
So
in your 30 front defense for the second game in a row when we have no true nose tackle and we have no D lineman that can get up the field and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Let's just stick in that 30 front, coach.
Mm-hmm.
Working out really, really well.
I think it's also working out well. I think we should do it more.
Yeah. Makes me really happy.
So out of those stats I read, which one is the most concerning to you?
Besides the score?
Yeah, score aside. And I have my answer, but I'd like to hear yours first.
I mean, the total yards kind of summarizes the average, yards per carry and yards per pass. And like I said, they could have had 800 total yards.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think that the issue is like, what do you know about BV's defense at Clemson? Like,
I know the defensive line was solid, and I know BV always has good linebackers. Even when he was at OU, he had great linebackers.
Correct. And then also, if I asked you, was BV's defense at Clemson schematically simple, or is it schematically extremely intense?
Well, from everything I've heard from podcasts and everything, and other people talking, is very intense.
Very intense. Okay, well, let's look at the first 3 games where offense kind of, started out slow, and defense, besides first possessions, leading the country in tackles for losses.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 in the country for total sacks, right?
Right.
You know how many sacks we've had in the past 2 games?
Well, I know we didn't have any against K-State, and I can remember maybe one against TCU. Yeah.
One.
Hey,
One.
Tate, let me ask you this also. How many times have we led in the past 2 weeks?
The answer would be 0.
It would be 0. 8 quarters of football, we haven't led, Tate.
Yeah. Well, here's my point. I think here's what I'm going to say in year 1. If everything you hear about BV's scheme is true, like summer workouts and then like the 9 weeks of fall ball is not enough time to implement that drastic of schematics defensively. When those dudes came from an Alex Grinch system, which was pretty much just like effort ball, like fly around and make plays. And then now BV comes in and says, you need to read and think through your progressions. And it sounds like each week they're adding more and more stuff. And each week the defense is getting
worse and worse.
Worse and worse because dudes are standing in concrete.
Yeah.
The ball is snapped and guys are standing in concrete trying to make reads and are caught on, you know what I mean? They're caught on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that right now you have to oversimplify things and get back to the vanilla defense of just saying like, hey, you got 2 things you need to do, right? You need to identify, pass or run, and then we'll go off of that. Okay. Like offensively, I think that you can get more and more deeper because we need it.
Yeah.
But defensively, when we saw the most success, it was simplified defenses, letting our athletes make plays.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And one thing that comes to mind too is that, which I'm not sure how complicated this coverage was, but of course, and then RG3 is talking about it. Anytime I have to watch RG3 on the freaking play call, I just want to like punch a baby or something. But RG3 is breaking this down, and they've got the aerial shot, and our safety goes to run up to take the running back coming out of the flat, and a guy's running down the seam with no one within 30 yards of him. So it's just mental busts like that is the stuff that has to stop.
I mean, the frustrating thing, and both of us know this, like obviously you're playing college baseball. I had opportunities to play college basketball. Like we know what it takes to be successful in sports. All it takes is one person.
Yep.
All it takes is one person, right? Like I play basketball, you play baseball. We're talking football. I get that. Like we said, casual fans.
Yep.
Right. But we do know that all it takes is one person to not be doing their job, one person not to be mentally hooked in for the whole team to suffer.
Yeah. And
we saw that over and over and over and over again.
And like all those cliches you want to say, like offense is as strong as its weakest link, like is personified with this defense.
Just say offense.
Yeah, I like to ride fences.
I've never heard a fence is
a
as strong
chain
as
link fence.
I've heard a chain is as strong as its weakest link.
Whatever, man. Get out of here. I'm trying to be creative and artistic for the people.
A chain link fence.
Well, you see, the thing is, it's a metaphor, so really, it's subjective, and it can be whatever I want it to be.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah. So
let me give my gym face to the camera.
Shut up. All right. So on to the next question. So you've had some experience like being around some different coaches, and you've done a little bit of coaching yourself, and you use some training right now. So if you put yourself in the locker room right now, what are you saying to those players? What are you saying to that team?
Well, I would honestly be extremely interested to go into that locker room to feel the pulse of the locker room, because it's one of those things that you really have to know where your audience is, you know what I mean? Like of what you're saying. But I mean, the thing that I would be preaching to those guys is that, hey, guess what? We are 0-2 in conference play, correct? We are down and down bad. We're down players, right? If we're not for each other, like who is?
Yeah.
Like it is a us against the world mentality. right? The casual fans are ticked off. The media's on it. The Big 12, everyone's talking about it's flipped with the Kansas and Kansas State on top and OU on the bottom, right? Like if there's ever been a time in OU football where it is OU football against the world, it's right now.
Yeah.
Right. And like it would be one of those things where I'm like, we're all we got. We're all we got. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The blood, sweat, and tears put in this offseason, because here's my thing. I believe that those dudes put the work in getting Schmitty built this summer.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing.
I know that that's a continual progress,
stories.
It's a progression, but like they know what they went through. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wasn't there, but there's got to be a brotherhood mentality, right? Like all the successful teams that I've been a part of as a player and all the successful teams that I've been a part of as a coach, it is a brotherhood mentality. It's like when you're down, I'm there, right?
Right.
Whenever, when you're succeeding, I'm the first one praising you. Whenever you're down, I'm the first one helping you up. Like when someone comes in cheap shots our QB1 and we don't have one person put a hand on the dude that knocks our quarterback out, like that raises questions to me, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
It raises questions to me where I'm like, do we have each other's backs? Because I promise you right now, I'm a casual fan and I would go out there and lay hands on that dude for clearly sliding and then leading straight at the head. Like that's my guy. And I'm at least going to get in your ear and tell you what I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if I'm in that locker room, I'm giving that speech, which I'm sure, and that's surely that speech has been told.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a matter of are they going to respond or not?
Yeah. I think Brent Venables is definitely doing all he can right now as far as that stuff goes. I mean, I've watched so many press conferences and interviews with that guy, and he makes me feel like I'm on the team and I'm about to go run through a wall for him. So I can only imagine what he's telling those guys, but it's just a matter of
one thing about BV.
Let's hear it.
And agree or disagree.
Okay.
I'm almost tired of politically correct BV. And I'm not saying like politically correct as in like he's out there talking politics. I'm talking politically correct
as in not needing a get back coach in the game.
As in not needing a get back coach in the game. As in when he's being asked questions repeatedly and you can see frustration on the dude's, boiling point.
Yeah.
But he does the politically correct answer. We obviously did things wrong, but we're going to get it worked out. We're implementing new things, or we call it. I want pissed off BV.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And it's almost like he's trying to play head coach, almost like being the DC was different. And it is different. It's a lot different. But
what made him successful as a DC?
Yeah, and that was his passion and his fire. And that's what had everyone fired up about him coming back.
And
too.
People would play with their hair on fire for that.
Exactly.
Dude. And I'm not saying he's not like that. And I'm not saying I agree with you. I think BV is the right hire for this program. But I think that there's a learning curve to the head coaching position as well. Yeah. I think that he's learning. And I think that he's got to learn to just be himself and do what allowed him to be successful enough to get the head coaching position at the University of Oklahoma.
I totally agree. So, all right. So I got a couple more questions for you. What about the depth? Because K-State was bad. I'm going to keep going back to that game because I was there. And I think so Stutzman, Agwebu, and Deshaun White, I don't think they came out for a snap. And it was not pretty. Adrian Martinez was getting whatever he wanted, Deuce Vaughn, whatever he wanted. So what are the depth concerns for this team? Maybe not even just at linebacker, but maybe other positions too.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a lot of depth concern.
And we're about to find one too with QB1 going down. That was about the one position we couldn't have go down.
Right. I think that everybody knew going in that our quarterback room was extremely thin and we couldn't afford to lose DG. But I think that even before the TCU game with all of the injuries, I think that there were a lot of concerns on the defensive side and we listened to several podcasts, and one of the podcasts calls the young dudes puppies. And I say that all the time whenever I'm coaching. I'm like, you guys are just a bunch of puppies, right? Because you want dogs. You want dogs in that locker room, and you got a bunch of puppies. But here's the thing. Number 7,
he's a dog.
He's a dog, Colin. He's a dog.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know. Listen, I don't know if they're trying to maybe go a red shirt route. I don't know if he's gotten in the doghouse in practice. I don't know. I don't know. He's playing special teams, but he has not seen defensive snaps after a team leading tackle effort against Nebraska with a team high 10.
And that wasn't even the whole game. He came in the second quarter, halfway through.
So I don't know. To answer your question, there's a bunch of depth concerns, and I think we're about to see a whole lot of them with how many injuries there were, because there were some injuries to Woody Washington. There were some
Weiss got a little shaken up too.
Weiss got banged up. Marcus Major got a bad wheel. He's been dealing with R. Mason Thomas been dealing with a hamstring issue. Now some O linemen we're about to see some puppies. And you know what game you don't want to start puppies?
Hey, we could have
to answer your question. We have lots of depth concerns, and I think guys are about to get baptized by fire, right? Drinking out of a fire hose. And that's where I'm saying we need to simplify. Yeah. We've got to simplify and just let those guys go be athletes and go make plays.
But I mean, you're about to see what they're made of, though. Sometimes getting baptized by fire is the best way to go, best route. Kind of see these guys' true character. But so we can be done talking about TCU. We didn't plan on spending this much time on it, but we want to voice our displeasures because this is a podcast by the people for the people. Can I get an amen, Tate?
By the people for the people.
So a little Red River preview. So we're going to talk about some linebacker struggles again. And here's one thing. The stat that stood out for me from the TCU game was yards per carry. Tate, do you realize who we're about to play?
Yeah.
He's bona fide. Absolutely bona fide stud, Tate. Which I know the Texas O-line has been having some trouble. And they had injuries before the season even started. But this dude goes out and makes plays. And their strength right now is our weakness. And that's something that worries me. So let me just hear kind of your thoughts about how do we keep Mr. B. John Robinson contained on Saturday?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a lot easier said than done because the dude, like you said, is bona fide. I would put money that top 3 backs in the country for sure, right? That dude just finds a way to make people miss. I mean, you can go back and watch film on him, and dudes have him squared up in a B gap, and he'll make people miss in a hole, which is just extremely hard to do. And so I too share your concern of linebacker play as of late and D-line play as of late. What you got to do, and BV has stressed this, is he wants to push the line of scrimmage back, right?
Right.
Like he wants the line of scrimmage to go into the backfield, and then you can make plays, right? Then you can read, hey, run, pass, get those arms out, right? If you're playing on the outside, you want to keep that outside arm free. If you're playing on the inside, you want to keep those inside arms free. These linebackers, I'm of the approach of, right, keep it simple, the whole keep it simple, stupid, because it just seems like our guys might be stupid. And when it's not simple, those dudes, I'm telling you, dude, I might be mean, but you go watch film and those dudes I watched number 23 and number 2 the play was developing and the hole was developing right in front of them, and they turned and took off running to the other side of the field on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. If we ever do pick up ground, I know that there's going to be people in the comments that's like, let's see you go out there and do it. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to be a D1 Division 1 athlete at the University of Oklahoma and play for a linebacker coach like Brent Venables, and you're going to tuck tail and run into the opposite side of the field instead of go smack a dude in his mouth.
Yeah.
I think I have the right to say something about it.
Well, and there's an expectation there of them to do that. Like they're not in that position with no expectation. Like that is what you're there to do. And if they can't defend that, if they can't take some ownership and accountability when they get criticized, then that's a bad sign. Because like if I'm out there and someone's like, so I'm a PO now, okay? And someone's like, oh, he can't throw strikes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, you get out there and do it. No, that's not good. It's like, no, you're right. I've been struggling lately, and that's something I need to fix. So
Right.
It's like, you got to take some ownership.
100%.
But
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. So to answer your question, yeah, dude, I'm concerned about this week. I'm extremely concerned about this week. I think we'll see. We'll see. It's not just linebackers, dude. We've got to have better D line play. We've got to have better penetration. We've got to be able to, when guys are on one-on-one situations, we have not been able to get off blocks, right? All last year we saw Ethan Downs. Even if he didn't make a play in the backfield, he would shed his block and run down the ball, down the line of scrimmage or 4 or 5 yards down the play. Saw him cause fumbles that way. Like he's not even getting off blocks anymore.
And
so
OU should not be getting bullied on the line of scrimmage.
Agreed.
And that's
here's something else too, to the point
weeks.
of like, I get that I'm a casual fan and I'm not out there playing on Saturdays, but guess what? When this whole NIL deal happened, you are now a paid football player.
You're a professional.
Like you are a professional. It is your job.
By the definition,
if I'm not doing my job,
of the word.
If I'm not doing my job that I get paid to do, there are people that are going to come tell me that I'm not doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, listen, you've got a job to do and you're getting paid to do it now. And when you're tucking tail and running the opposite way of the play, I'm going to call you on it. So.
And that's the way it should be.
Concern for Texas, to transition to, I think, our next topic of QB play.
That is our next topic.
Brother.
Hey, I will say this. So say we don't have the Miami Dolphins medical examiner on our staff.
Bro.
So DG might not be going out there. But
Too
also, Tua, I hope you're okay. You should not have been in the game. Yeah. That's my bad, everybody. But anyways, OU's had some I know we don't mention Tebow, and I know Caleb Williams is a little touchy, but we've had some good luck with backup QBs in this little showdown. So if we do have to trot Davis Bevel out there, he didn't look like much of a football player last Saturday, but maybe we could get something schemed up. And also for Texas, is Quinn Ewers going to be back, or is it Hudson Card again?
So I'm reading that Quinn Ewers is looking to be back this Saturday.
Perfect.
So I think Quinn Ewers is going to be back. That dude looked pretty legit against Bama. Mm-hmm. Had control of that offense, could sling it downfield, really stretch the field, which we saw last Saturday is a problem. So if Texas with Sarkisian, he is a good play caller. I don't know if he's the right culture guy, but is an extremely good play caller. I think that he's going to keep OU's defense guessing and on their heels. And I think it's going to be a long game, my friend, unfortunately. And listen, I out of anyone, I live in the state of Texas. I'm my wife's father.
You're teaching the Texas youth, man.
My wife's father is a huge Texas fan. My brother-in-law lives in Austin and is a diehard UT fan. So it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Not looking good. I mean, here's the thing. If Ewers is back and DG's out, here's my thing. Here's my take on old Davis Bevel. Okay.
Oh God.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Did that dude look like a quarterback that had prepared like he was one snap away from being in the game?
No, he did not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did he look like he was like a backup quarterback's mentality has to be, look, I'm one play away from playing in this game. Like I need to prepare. I need to know what the defense doing. I need to make sure that during practice, my throws, my timing, right, all of that stuff's intact. And that dude looked like he had never played a down of college football.
I tell you this much. I think we could have trotted Grandma Fran out there, and she would have ran that offense better than Davis Bevel. And that is the God honest truth. It was bad to watch. Very bad. But I mean, I remember my flag football days. I never had a game like that.
No.
Ever.
And
Even
who
in
was
my
your
worst.
OC?
You were my OC.
That's
Hey,
right.
league champs, Tate.
That's right. BV,
So,
call me up.
yeah, for sure. They were holding you see whose jersey I got on right now? Most famous walk-on of all time. I saw the Twitter post for the walk-on thing. I could I mean, I'm not gonna transfer because I'm committed here. I got a commitment to make at my university. But if you really get in a pinch, I might have to come be the next walk-on QB at OU. I saw the Twitter post. I liked it. Just throwing it out there.
Just keep your options open.
Yeah. I can squat well over 400 pounds. I could bench about 275, deadlift about 500. I run about a 4.4. So let me know.
That's lies. That's
Not true. All right.
I mean, here's my thing with quarterback situation. We've got, if Davis Bevel looks like he did against TCU,
we have problems.
I'm extremely curious to see if Jeff Lebby will make the call to
maybe Nick Evers
some Nick Evers or some General Booty. Might get a little booty call.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Give the people what they want.
Give people what they want. But Davis Bevel, if he comes out looking like that and it's a mud stomping, we've got to be able to make that call.
Well, here's one thing I like. I've been seeing some people on Twitter saying that they're out on Jeff Lebby and all this and all that. And I'm like, I mean, I like that Jeff Lebby, when his quarterback is struggling, I've noticed this, that he gives them, and when the offense is stalling, he gives some easy completions to his quarterback for positive yards. Like they're not little bubble screens that, they might break or they might not. They're these little curl routes, so 5-yard outs or something like that. And so I think he can give Davis some easy completions. It's just a matter of if he executes, because.
Oh, you mean like Dylan Gabriel selling balls over receivers' heads pretty consistently the past 3 weeks?
I know we said we wouldn't talk about TCU anymore, but Dylan Gabriel sailed. I took notes on the game, so if you want to make fun of me for that, you can.
Dedicated.
For being a nerd. But this is just the first quarter too. I have Gabriel sails another written in here about 5 times. And it was the same story at K-State. So I mean, Jeff Lebby can call. He can get the guys open, but it's a matter of if they're going to execute or not. And I mean, against TCU also, we had some drops. Like it wasn't all DG's fault. So that worries me. But
just so many question marks.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question when we bring up DG.
All right, let's hear it.
Who's the leader? Who would you honestly say is the leader on offense?
I'll go with either Weight Room Willie or Marvin Mims up until this point.
Follow-up question. When is the last time that we have not said the quarterback is the leader of the offense?
That's a great question.
Listen, even to Blake Bell and Landry Jones and Even you know what I mean? Like not the
Yeah.
best years quarterbacking, but you could always say he might not be the best, but he's definitely like the leader.
Yeah.
The fact that, we don't say DG is the bona fide leader of that offense. And I'm not saying that Weight Room Willie, right? Like, I'm not saying that he can't be a leader on that offense. I'm not saying that Marvin Mims can't be a leader on that offense. But when you're QB1, the signal caller, the guy that has the ball in his hands every single play, is not the leader and like obvious leader
Mm-hmm.
for your offense, it raises some serious, serious concerns.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I would totally agree with that. So it'll be interesting this Saturday to see which team shows up. But yeah. So I think we covered enough OU football. Pretty depressing stuff to have to cover. What do you
Yeah.
say we get into some good news?
Let's hear it. Let's
All
hear
right.
some good news. I need some good news in my life.
You want to hear some good news? All right. Well, I'll start with some good news. So for my good news, I'm just going to go basic. I want to say us starting this podcast. What's better than just getting on here with your cousin and just talking some sports, letting everyone else hear it. So I'm going to go with my good news as us starting this podcast. And if it takes off, it takes off. If not, I'm still having fun doing it.
Same, dude. I'm excited we pulled the trigger. I'm excited to see where it goes. Who knows, right? This season or 3 years down the line, me and you just like keeping this podcast going just because we enjoy talking Sooner football.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoy talking with each other. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Right.
Too.
I'll keep it simple too. My good news is my wife and I are expecting our first baby. Yep. I know it, man. It's so crazy. Still haven't wrapped my head around it. We are in the third trimester.
Let's go.
December 18th due date. It's just fastly approaching, and bit nervous, super excited.
Understand.
But super good news there. So super thankful, super blessed.
All-State Tate's going to be a dad, everybody.
I told you not to say that.
Tate was an all-state basketball player in high school.
Has
Tate,
been.
why don't we throw in some Thunder news too? Well, maybe not really news. They're playing a preseason game right now, and they're not doing too bad.
Some OKC Thunder basketball, baby.
Yeah, they're not
maybe
doing
it'll
too
help
bad.
it'll take off the pressure from this OU football season.
For sure. But I just want to say this. I'm gonna look right in the camera for this.
Uh-oh. Look at those baby blues.
All you Canadians out there thirsting over SGA, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, we're in a rebuild. And that means we're gonna rebuild around someone, and we're gonna rebuild around our bona fide star, SGA, who's in it for the long haul. You ain't getting him. All right, he's staying in OKC. Him and Kenny Hustle, they're gonna retire together. And when Chet comes back, and we get Wemby, we're gonna be a dynasty. So all you Canadians up there, just stick to your freaking maple syrup and hockey and stay away from SGA. That's all I have to say about that.
And I'm sure the Canadians have a rebuttal of who has the most recent natty, or not natty, yeah, the championship.
Yeah. Well, who's a part of that team? Serge Ibaka. You're welcome. So.
I just have a feeling
I love our neighbors to the north, though.
When Chet, I hope that we don't have to use that little snippet in a loop of just an absolute fail.
Yeah, me either.
Of like breaking news, SGA gets traded to the Toronto Raptors.
You know what? I'll wear that.
And then we can just play that on our short reels.
It'll be on our freezing cold takes.
100%. Dude, how sad are we that OU season is looking like it is?
Mm-hmm.
And then we also got the news of Chet Holmgren going down with a foot injury.
See, that was a real bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really excited about Jalen Williams, J-Dub, the Santa Clara one.
The point guard one?
Yes.
Yeah, he's special.
He is for real. And
yeah, we watched the summer league.
Yeah.
Me and Colin watched all the summer league games, and I'm super excited about Santa Clara J-Dub.
I am too.
He's got something special.
I even told you this too, but the way he plays gives me some Paul George vibes about how just smooth he is. Like he creates space, and it doesn't even look like he's really trying. And just, I think being at Santa Clara and being there for so long, he picked up a lot of stuff. And so I'm really excited to watch him play and win Rookie of the Year this year. So,
Oh, we're going Rookie of the Year.
yep.
What a
I'm
bold
very
take.
high on J-Dub. I love watching that dude.
Look at you not riding the fence on that.
I
That's an
know.
extremely bold take.
I guess when it comes to the Thunder, I just don't ride the fence. I said SGA ain't going nowhere. J-Dub gonna win the Rookie of the Year. So,
There you go.
all
Hey,
right.
well, dude, look, I'm super excited for this. Like we said, there's no pressure for this to go anywhere, but I do think that, hey, I think some people might enjoy hearing fans like themselves that have never stepped foot on a college football field
Yeah.
or anything else that we cover, just calling it like it is, right? And
I agree.
maybe we can get to the point where we have some of those casual fans just come and join us sometimes, or
Yeah,
whatever
that'd
it
be
is.
awesome.
I'm looking forward to just me and you hanging out, talking OU football like we've done our entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And
For
if it
sure.
takes off, cool. If not, looking forward to
Cool.
hanging out with you.
Yep.
So
It's a win-win for us.
that's right, Ann.
All right, man. Well, this was fun. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for episode 1 for us. Go pop some champagne, go celebrate, whatever you want to do. But I had fun. I can't wait to do it again. Hopefully we're doing it after OU win.
OU win. And I also want you to put a tally up on how many times you picked up your empty cup to drink it.
It's not empty. It's not empty. It is empty. All right. We're nervous. It's our first podcast.
You're over there picking up
I'll
an
just edit
empty-
this out. I'm the one editing. People don't even have to know I've been trying to drink out of an empty cup for the past 10 minutes.
I just kept hearing you set it down. So I knew
Yeah. All right, man. You know what? This is the last time we record this podcast.
The first and only episode.
I hope y'all enjoyed it, because it's the only one y'all are getting. All right.
All right. Hey, man. Love you. Looking
Love
forward
you
to
too,
doing it
Tater.
again.
All right. I'll talk to you later, bud.
Peace.